Good day everyone. So today we gonna discuss about the traumatic brain injury. So the first reporter will be Chirar Salvalosa.
What is traumatic brain injury? Traumatic brain injury is a non-degenerative, non-congenital insult to the brain from an external mechanical force, possibly leading to permanent or temporary impairment of cognitive, physical, and psychosocial functions, with an associated diminished or altered state of consciousness. In addition, traumatic brain injury as an acquired injury to the brain caused by an external physical force resulting in total or partial functional disability or psychosocial impairment or both that adversely affects the child's educational performance. These are the types of traumatic brain injury. Number 1. Mild concussion. These mild TBIs may involve brief consciousness alterations like feeling dazed or brief loss of consciousness under 30 minutes. Individuals with MTBIs might experience one day of confusion distinct from issues with attention or memory. Number 2. Moderate TBI. This type of head injury is associated with loss of consciousness for over 30 minutes, but less than one day. Confusion can last up to 1 week. Number 3. Severe TBI. Individuals with this type of head injury lose consciousness for over 1 full day. These injuries are typically associated with changes on head CT or brain MRI. Number 4. Uncomplicated TBI. Head CT or brain MRI are normal, regardless of mild, moderate, or severe grade. Number 5. Complicated TBI. Head CT or brain MRI show changes such as bleeding. Number 6. Closed. Most TBIs are closed. A closed TBI means an outside force causes a blow or jolt to the head that did not penetrate the skull. This impact injures the brain, causing it to swell. 7. Open. Healthcare providers may call open TBI a penetrating TBI. This injury occurs when a bullet, knife, or something else goes through the skull. If the object goes into the brain, it directly damages the brain tissue. And the last is number 8, non-traumatic, also known as a hypoxic or anoxic brain injury. Some TBIs aren't from trauma. They can result from strokes, seizures, or events like choking and near-fatal drownings. These incidents can deprive the brain of oxygen or cerebral hypoxia.
These are the two common classifications of TBI. First is the primary injury. This injury occurs at the moment of initial trauma, or the injury was acquired in the moment of accident. Usually this happens like at the time of the car accident, gunshot wound, or fall. It includes skull fracture, which refers to the break or crack in the skull bone. Contusions, these are the bruise or bleed on the brain. So the causes of the contusions are bleeding and swelling inside the brain around the area where the head was struck. Next is the concussions. It is the low velocity injury resulting in functional deficit without pathological injury. So when we say functional deficit, it is the limitation of the physical abilities. So the concussions usually occurs when the brain shifts inside the skull, striking the side. The shifting and impact stretch and damage arteries and nerves in the brain. Next is the laceration. It is the tears and brain tissue or blood vessels of the brain. And last is the diffuse axonal injury or DAI. It is the sharing or tearing of the brain's long connecting nerve fibers. It usually caused by the shaking or strong rotation of the head by physical forces, such as with a car crash. Injury occurs because the unmoving brain lags behind the movement of the skull, causing nerve structure to tear. The tearing of the nerve tissue disrupts the brain's regular communication and chemical processes. The other classification of TBI is the secondary injury. So it occurs as an indirect result of the insult or refers to the changes that evolve over a period of hours to days after the brain injury. So it includes schema. It is the insufficient blood flow. So usually after the accident, some blood will be stuck in the nerves of the brain. That will become a blood clot that causes to stop the flowing of the blood to the brain that leads into a schema. Next is the hypoxia, which the brain has an insufficient oxygen. So the injury formed due to a restriction on the oxygen being supplied to the brain. So the restricted flow of oxygen causes the gradual death and impairment of the brain cells.
Next is cerebral edema. This is caused by a disruption of the blood-brain barrier that allows fluid to leak and pressure to build inside the brain. So the main causes of this type of edema include stroke, TBI, and brain tumors. Next is raised intracranial pressure, increased pressure within the skull, which can lead to herniation. So as we say herniation, it means parts of the brain are displaced. So next is the hypercapnia. It means excessive carbon dioxide levels in the blood. Next is the meningitis. It means infection of the meningeal layers and brain abscess. And of course, there's a biochemical and epilepsy. So that's all the secondary injury. And now let's move on to the common classification of TBI. This time, let us know what are the causes of TBI, or as we say, traumatic brain injury. First is the falls. So falls are the leading cause of TBI, about 40% in the United States. They cause more than half, about 55% of all TBIs among children aged 0 to 14 years and 81% of all TBIs among adults aged 65 years and older. Second, being struck by or against an object or person. So this type of TBI occurs from being struck, hit, or crushed, or colliding with a moving or stationary object or person. So for example, nagkadto ikaw sa library to study. So there's a time nga hindi tagid mapulong ang accident nga ginatawag. So diba sa library, there's a lot of students nga mga burara man and they don't know how to balik ang libro nga gingamit nila in the right place. So ikaw kay gatanga ka man, naigo ikaw sang libro sa ulo, so maka-affect ini sa imo nga head or basi maka-brain injury ikaw tungod kay grabe gid ang pag-igo sang libro sa imo nga ulo. Third is the motor vehicle traffic incidents. Among all age groups, motor vehicle crashes and traffic-related incidents are the third leading cause of TBI, about 14%, and result in the largest percentage of TBI-related deaths. So, diba, there's a lot of mga news nga nagkakatabo about mga incidents sa mga motor, mga vehicle. So, dapat kung magtabok ikaw, pabunggo ka na lang. Charot. Hindi. Kung magtabok kita, we need to look in the left and the right side to prevent incidents like this. Because life is too short. We need to enjoy our life. Diba? Lastly is assault. Assaults include injuries inflicted by another person with intent to injure or kill, such as fights, child maltreatment, or intimate partner violence or elder abuse. So this time, let us know what is the sign and symptoms of traumatic brain injury. So the first one is behavior or mode changes. So sa sininga part, if you are attitude or permi kaya ga change sang mood, so it means you have TBI or traumatic brain injury. Next is confusion or memory problems. So gaka-think ikaw sa mga problema or gaka-confuse ikaw kung sakto pa bala ang imo ginaobra or hindi. It means you have TBI, convulsions or seizures. So sa sininga part is dopamic ka na lang gakakulbaan biskan wala sang rason and gapangurog ang imo nga mga kalawasan. Dilated pupils or blurred vision. It means gadili ang imong pupils and gapangdulom ang imong mga panulukan nga daw gusto mo namang buno sang tawo. Charot. So kung naka-experience ka sini, it means may ara ka na sign nga may ara ka sang TBI or traumatic brain injury. Is dizziness. So ang ining is gakalipong ikaw, galingin ang imong ulo nga hindi mo maintindihan ang imong nga ginabatsyag sa iya. Huy, charot. So, kung gaka-experience mo nga galingin imo ulo or gakalipong ikaw, it means pa-check up na ikaw because you have TBI. Another signs and symptoms of TBI is headaches, vomiting, restlessness or agitation, sensitivity to light and smell, and sleeping too much or too little. So, kung naka-experience ka sang mga na-mentions, you need to see a doctor na para magpa-check up and of course para mabalaan kag para masolusyonan as early as possible, diba?
Students with traumatic brain injury may encounter different difficulties, such as number 1, having short-term and long-term memory loss. Number 2, able to concentrate for long periods of time. Number 3, trouble in talking and listening to others. Number 4, difficulty with reading and writing, planning, understanding the order in which events happen or called sequencing, and judgment. Number 5, learning and memory difficulties. Number 6, have trouble in learning and remembering new information and events.
What teachers can do para mabuligan niya ang iyang students nga may ara sang traumatic brain injury? Students with TBIs often face a long-term healing process. To help students with problems related to concentration, organization, and memory, as a future teacher, I can help them to reduce distractions in the classroom, break assignment into smaller tasks, repeat and review assignments, and have students write them down. Provide a checklist of tasks to complete each day. And lastly, give extra time for tests and assignments. That's all, and thank you for watching and have a good day.